Welcome to AnimeFan Narrations, Solo Leveling Episode 10, Chapter 61, Part 1.
Do you want the salt too?
No, just the pepper, please.
Somehow, they had all adapted to life in the dungeon. Alongside the campfire, they had tents and blankets for sleeping. Surprisingly, they were quite comfortable. In a strange way, it almost felt like a vacation. Go Myung-hwan looked around and remarked,
You know, it seems like the ice bears have been attacking us less and less lately.
Park Hee-jin responded,
Well, that's because the raid leader has been dealing with them.
I don't know what grudge he has against ice bears, but whenever he looks at one, it's terrifying. Honestly, I hope he never looks at me that way.
Before long, Jinwoo's teammates had started calling him Raid Leader. Noticing his absence, Park Hee-jin asked,
Where did our raid leader disappear to anyway?
Yoon Gi-jung, focused on his plate, replied,
He said he was going to patrol the area.
What?
Park Hee-jin was incredulous.
To wander around a high-level dungeon alone. Is he not scared at all?
Yoon Gi-jung smiled.
I think he'll be fine, don't you?
Go Myung-hwan added.
Seriously, the man killed a high-level magic beast with his bare hands.
He continued,
You know, now that I think about it, just how high-ranked do you have to be to kill a magic beast like that with your bare hands?
A silence fell over the group. Of course, they were all curious, but even in Jinwoo's absence, they didn't want to break the cardinal rule of their group.
Hey, let's just keep eating.
At Park Hee-jin's suggestion, everyone nodded in agreement. Meanwhile, Jinwoo was moving through the forest, pushing through a bush.
It should be around here somewhere.
He sensed the presence of several ice bears nearby. He had been tracking their den since last night after noticing that the bears always attacked from the same direction. After searching the area thoroughly, Jinwoo's eyes lit up.
Found them.
Through the thicket, he spotted dozens of caves. He could sense multiple presences in each cave. He didn't even need his sense stat. Ice bears were visibly entering and exiting the caves. A quick count revealed about 30 bears. It was truly a bear den. A grin spread across Jinwoo's face. He had come alone on purpose. This was the perfect opportunity. They had been waiting for this inaugural battle.
Come forth.
Responding to his thoughts, soldiers in black armor silently emerged from his shadow and assembled behind him.
You know this is your first battle, right?
Just as first impressions matter between people, your first battle will shape my impression of you. That's what he meant. The shadow soldiers stood ready. Good. Jinwoo smiled broadly. The ice bears caught Jinwoo's scent and began emerging from their caves.
Looks like they're ready too.
Jinwoo pointed his hand toward the ice bears.
Go.
At his command, the shadow soldiers glided across the ground toward the enemy. The shadow soldiers quickly closed the distance. However, the ice bear's fierce movements were far swifter than those of the shadow soldiers. A single swipe from a bear's claw obliterated a shadow soldier. If a human had been inside that pitch-black armor instead of a shadow, it would have been a gruesome sight. Jinwoo furrowed his brows.
Was this too much?
In terms of strength and size, the ice bears seemed too formidable for the shadow soldiers. But then, something surprising occurred.
What the?
Jinwoo's eyes widened. The shadow soldier's body, destroyed by the ice bear, turned into black smoke before it hit the ground. The black smoke gathered at a distance and reformed into its original shape.
Oh shit.
Jinwoo's face lit up. Undead. He had forgotten the true nature of these shadows, but was now reminded. Realizing its attack had no lasting effect, the ice bear panicked and roared. While the shadow infantry kept the ice bears occupied, the shadow mages completed their spells. Fireballs erupted from the mages' hands, exploding all around. The shadow infantry caught in the blasts regenerated immediately, while the ice bears, now on fire, thrashed about wildly. The shadow infantry continued their assault, slicing and stabbing at the burning bears. Initially, the ice bears seemed to have the upper hand, but they were slowly being overwhelmed by the combined efforts of the infantry and the mages.
Whoa.
Jinwoo watched the battle with great interest. The infantry's rapid regeneration, the mages' powerful firepower, the strength of the shadow soldiers exceeded his expectations. The ice bears were soon overwhelmed and driven back to their caves. It seemed like the battle was over. With a deafening roar, a colossal figure emerged from the cave.
That's...
Jinwoo's eyes widened. It was an ice bear, taller and broader than the others. A single swipe of its claw sent numerous shadow soldiers flying. Even their swift regeneration couldn't keep up.
Looks like the Alpha has shown up.
He had anticipated an alpha bear in the den, but its size and strength were beyond his expectations. The giant ice bear swatted away the shadow soldiers and charged toward Jinwoo. Suddenly, a message appeared.
You are out of mana. The shadow soldiers cannot regenerate. You are out of mana. The shadow soldiers cannot regenerate.
What?
He checked his mana in a panic. As the system indicated, his mana was at 0.
MP, 0 of 1860.
With his mana depleted, The shadow soldiers could no longer regenerate after being destroyed. Instead, they dissolved into shadows and returned to Jinwoo's shadow. He realized it was his mana that allowed the soldiers to regenerate.
That damn mana.
He found yet another reason to increase his intelligence stat. Jinwoo scratched his head, acknowledging how the Alpha's arrival had dramatically shifted the battle. Despite this, Jinwoo had a secret weapon.
If their leader has come out, it's time to bring out mine.
With his arms crossed, Jinwoo summoned the one fit to be called the Shadow Soldier's commander.
Ygritte.
A shadow emerged from Jinwoo's own shadow. Out of it, a knight wearing a helmet with plumage appeared. Jinwoo signaled to the Alpha with a nod. Ygritte bowed to Jinwoo before charging towards the enormous ice bear. Ygritte evaded the Alpha's attack and slid between its legs. In one swift motion, he drew the daggers from his sides and severed the tendons in the beast's legs. This was just the beginning. Drawing his long sword, Ygritte gracefully dodged the Alpha's relentless attacks while methodically cutting it down. Tendons, claws, paws, legs. Piece by piece, the Alpha's flesh was carved away like a butcher at work. Jinwoo watched Ygritte's fluid, artistic movements in awe. The head was the last to go. The giant ice bear's head was cleanly severed from its body. Before it could hit the ground, Ygritte caught it. The knight approached Jinwoo and knelt before him. Ygritte placed the bear's head at Jinwoo's feet, presenting it like a trophy to his king. Jinwoo looked at the knight and swallowed hard.
If he had used his sword from the beginning, could I have beaten him?
The remaining ice bears, now leaderless, fell into disarray and were swiftly dealt with by the soldiers. The battle had concluded, and Jinwoo was thoroughly pleased with the outcome.
Shadow Infantry, Level 2. Shadow Infantry, Level 3. Shadow Infantry, Level 2. Shadow Mage, Level 2.
His shadow soldiers had gained levels sporadically. As Jinwoo's skills included the shadow soldiers, he himself had ascended by 3 levels. But most importantly,
Arise.
You've succeeded in shadow extraction. You've succeeded in shadow extraction. You've succeeded in shadow extraction.
he had acquired new allies. Jinwoo chose several ice bears, including the Alpha, from their shadows. From these shadows emerged a substantial black mass.
I was imagining a bear in armor.
Reality turned out to be slightly different. The shadow beasts that emerged resembled bears, yet their forms seemed to waver between solid and gaseous states. Black vapor constantly emitted from their figures.
Their appearance might be lacking, but they're still the shadows of ice bears.
Their power and potential for destruction were undeniable. He knew he could make use of them. Suddenly, Jinwoo's attention was drawn to a distant cry. It wasn't just a single cry. There were several.
Seems like there are more dens around here.
It was getting late. He decided to investigate tomorrow. A bright smile spread across Jinwoo's face. His teammates were screaming from all sides. Kim Cheol's eyes widened in disbelief.
This can't be happening!
How could he, Kim Cheol, fail like this? He was destined to be among Baeko's elite. He had undergone special training for this very goal. And now, he was failing? The A-ranker couldn't accept this outcome. Their team had braved the cold, fought off hunger, and battled Yetis. After that came the Ice Giants. They had lost 2 members but still managed to defeat them. The raid seemed to be going well, but then, just as they overcame the Ice Giants, the White Walkers attacked from every direction, as if they had been lying in wait. Those monsters had been watching, biding their time until the party was exhausted. What followed was a bloodbath. One by one, the hunters fell almost instantly.
Leader.
A fallen hunter reached out with a bloodied hand toward Kim Cheol. Kim Cheol stepped back. A White Walker appeared out of nowhere and slashed the throat of the downed hunter. As the man choked on his own blood, the White Walker turned its gaze to Kim Cheol. The A-ranker screamed. He spun around and dashed into the forest. Ice bears in the forest? They were nothing compared to the Yetis, Ice Giants, and White Walkers. Kim Cheol ran with every ounce of strength he had. Watching him disappear into the distance, the White Walkers aimed their bows at him. But before they could shoot, a White Walker with hair flowing down to his waist raised his hand to stop them. The other White Walkers lowered their bows. The long-haired figure pointed and signaled them to follow Kim Cheol. One by one, the other White Walkers vanished from view. Kim Cheol burst through a bush. His lungs were on fire. The memory of the White Walkers grinning as they massacred his teammates was vivid in his mind. He looked down at his hands. They were frostbitten and losing sensation. His toes had been numb for a while. He couldn't fight properly in this state.
Damn this cold. If only we hadn't starved these past few days, we could have won.
Even now, Kim Cheol refused to accept his failure. Muttering to himself, he looked up.
How far into the forest am I?
He glanced around. A smell of blood reached his nose from somewhere. He followed the scent. It was close. Moving through the trees, he stumbled into a clearing and couldn't believe his eyes.
This can't be real.
In front of the caves were over 20 ice bear corpses. No wonder he hadn't encountered a single bear.
What the?
He examined the bodies. All of them had marks from being slashed. Some also had burn marks. Sung Jinwoo and his group flashed in Kim Cheol's mind.
Thanks for watching Solo Leveling on AnimeFan Narrations. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for updates. Share your thoughts in the comments. See you next time.